Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Bears United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What's going on, bro?
I got a big old cup of coffee. Listen, coffee is life. I'm gonna just put that out there. For anybody who don't drink coffee, that's over the age of 30.
Coffee is whack. That's gonna be me. I don't drink coffee, and I'm over the age of 30.
I don't know where you find joy.
What?
That's what I'm saying,
bro.
But you drink energy drinks.
Hey, first of all, time out, son. I drink the healthy energy drinks.
Oh, here we go. Healthy. Who said they was healthy?
Green tea extract.
the
thank
brand.
you very much. The green tea extract. Matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out to Celsius and see if we can get them to sponsor this podcast.
So that's not what I remember, like bangs or something. That's what I remember.
No, I got you when you came to the conference. What did I get you? I got you a Celsius, and I said, "Taste is greatness."
It was good.
Yeah.
And then you had to. Never mind. I ain't gonna say. Yeah. We'll talk after the podcast.
Oh, you about to try to get your boy in trouble or something?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
yep,
and we also
what's up with you, brother?
We also joined by Billy as well. What's going on, Billy?
Freezing is what's going on.
It is
it's
cold,
freezing
bro.
in California.
It is cold. No, it is cold. No, you see, I got a jacket on in here today.
It is 39 degrees, and I am.
You said how cold?
39.
Is it really 39?
Yeah, I looked it up.
First off,
I got to put my phone down because one of our followers dogged me out and put my phone.
Roasted you.
See, they don't even know what I'm doing. See, for all they know, I could be reading scripture on this phone right now, and they want me to.
All right, now when you get struck by lightning sitting in that chair, I don't want to hear nothing.
I said, they know, I could be. Didn't say I was. I said I could be reading
first
scripture.
off, we gotta readdress this cold California thing. All right, if it's sunny and 40 degrees in Columbus, we're like, oh, it feels good outside. Like literally a couple of days ago, it was like 40 degrees, and Shelby was like, "I'm gonna take the dog for a walk."
You got to
now
take
your
that
boy
up
was
with
like,
whoever founded that city, because whoever was walking through like this like frozen tundra and was like, "Let's start a city here." That's on you guys.
They must have went in the summertime.
Yeah.
So this is not a lie. You could look it up. This morning, Columbus was a sheet of ice. I told my wife, she woke up this morning, I was like, "Babe, leave for work early and be careful." She's like, "Okay." She get ready real quick. I'm watching Little Man. As soon as she step out the door, I'm talking the first step out the door, swoop, does a split. She grabbed it onto the door. She was like, "Oh my goodness, it scared me." I was like, "I just told you to be careful." Like, and she's slipping down the driveway.
Hey, the funniest videos are the ones you see, like the Ring doorbell catches people like falling and stuff. Those are the funniest videos.
I don't wish for people to get hurt, but people falling on the ice is the funniest thing in the world to
absolutely
me.
It is.
Like I will like hold my stomach and curl into a ball like when I see somebody slip on ice, because it's like when you lean back in a chair too far and you get that split second of I'ma die, like, but it's prolonged because when you slip on ice, it's a progress. You're like.
Do you guys remember that video where that guy was like walking out of the house like for like work? And like he had like the longest fall down his driveway.
Yeah, he slid all the way down the driveway. That's what Shelby was doing this morning.
Oh man!
And she's like a verbal scared person. So she was like, "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! Okay." I was like, "Babe, I love you, but if you fall, I'm laughing."
Oh man!
I'm gonna check to make sure
we
you're
don't
okay.
Get it like that. Well, at least in Southern California, you gotta for stuff like that, you gotta go up to the mountains, and even up in the mountains, I don't think it gets.
There's snow up there, but
there's snow, but I don't think it goes negative.
Y'all don't know nothing about the mountains. Y'all been once the entire time y'all been in Cali. Y'all don't even pay them no mind.
I still,
you might as well move them bad boys over here.
I still remember I was driving to work the other day, looking at the mountains, and I still remember when you came out to Cali. He was like, "Y'all got mountains?
Y'all got mountains, and don't even." He was like, "Oh, them things over there."
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they been there forever. You know, that was George. That was Tito. That's like you don't know nothing about them mountains, man.
Oh man, so yeah, me and my wife were actually talking about going up to the mountains to see some snow, and which is funny to me because I was having this conversation with somebody about seeing snow, and it was like that's just the weirdest thing. Is like you don't go anywhere else and be like, I want to go see some rain.
That's true. I was just thinking that, like when you said see snow, you know what I never forget? I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or not, but I was out in Cali, or it might have been on the podcast. I don't know. We were talking at some point. And we were talking about something that's like common sense, like, oh yeah, common sense, blah, 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 blah. And you were like, yeah, like, what would you do if it was an earthquake? And I was like, to grab one or something? Like, I don't know. Like, get under a table? Like, what? And you were like, nah, you gotta, I forget, get in the doorway or something like that.
Get in the doorway,
like,
bro. Get underneath the desk or something. So
I was like, yeah, I'd have failed that test.
oh man. Anyways, moving forward.
Speaking of earthquakes, the inauguration happened.
It did happen. The inauguration happened, and
yeah,
there was no violence. Well, at least not that we know of.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it was like a big, because we sent. Well, hold on, let me think how to say this without putting out too much. The department that I work for sent 70 officers to DC.
Oh,
yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that kind of far though? Like they had to reach out to you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they reached out to us, but we do that. Like we send officers everywhere, like all over the country.
I didn't know.
But yeah, we sent 70 officers on a couple buses down there. Anticipating the worst. And
how long is that
we
drive?
didn't even see us. I don't even know, man. I make it every year. You would think I would know by now. I'm gonna tell you right now. Matter of fact, let me just ask my good friend Siri. Except I don't. Yeah. Hold on.
So my kids, we got for Christmas, and I don't want to go off on tangents, but we got the Alexa for Christmas because I don't know why my oldest son just wanted Alexa so bad, bro. Like
the dot.
Yeah, like the little thing that sits on the counter or whatever. Mm-hmm. Bro, he wanted Alexa so bad. Like I'm like, why? Like so. Anyways, bro, it's actually pretty funny. Like my kids will ask Alexa everything. Like I'm sure Alexa is tired of my kids. Like my Alexa,
like Alexa sighs before they answer. Yes. Alexa, how may I help you?
Can I have a minute?
Yeah, it's like Alexa wants to tell my kids to go sit down and play somewhere or go sit down and relax somewhere. Like
just responding different. Alexa, what?
Like I was doing math homework with my son the other day. And I know, right? And my son is like, Alexa, what? like using Alexa for everything, bro. Like
so daddy just not here right now. You just want to ask Alexa?
Yeah. Or I'll ask my wife's son or vice versa, and my kids will be like, well, just ask Alexa. So I don't even know how I got on the topic of Alexa, but because you said you're gonna ask Siri how far.
It's 6.5 hours.
Oh, that's not that far, actually.
Drive. But yeah, nothing happened. They said they didn't even see a civilian the entire time that they were down there because the entire area was on lockdown. And even here, it was quiet for the most part. Like, there were a couple of demonstrations, but nothing crazy. So I don't know what all the buildup was from, or maybe the intel, got leaked to the right people and we did everything we needed to do and we shut it down. I don't know. But I know, nobody came out and was showing out like anticipated.
Okay, so let me ask this. I want to.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah, let me ask this. So new administration, got a new administration, and people are on edge about how it's going to affect them personally. Let me ask you: do you think that the profession of law enforcement is going to be affected pretty drastically under this new administration?
That's a tough one, man. I do. I do think that the profession of law enforcement will, to an extent. I don't think it'll be affected as bad as everyone makes it seem. But, there were some statements made by political figures that they made those statements in order to gain votes, right? Like anti-police statements in order to gain votes. And now there are a lot of people who are like, okay, like we voted for you. You gonna hold your end of the bargain? So I think that there will be some things that are made, like laws or bills or, whatever are passed. I don't think it'll be as drastic as everyone was making it seem, because everyone was trying to get elected, right? Forget the police, we're going to defund them, blah, blah, blah. But in the grand scheme of things, when I was watching the inauguration, actually, I was like, man, it would be hard for a president to really support defunding the police, because all you seen down there were police officers keeping that event safe.
And that's kind of what I wanted to circle to that point too, because I was telling somebody the irony of it is some of these anti-police people or naysayers about police or defunding police, when you watch an event like the inauguration, Do you realize how much police presence was out there? Like between
Man.
Secret Service, because Secret Service is a form of law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
They're still sworn officials. So
Yep.
between Secret Service, between regular police
Homeland
officers,
Security,
Homeland Security,
FBI.
the law enforcement
DEA.
presence was serious, outrageous.
Yeah. Yep.
And you know how much money a detail like that cost?
Have you ever seen the presidential motorcade like in person?
No. Actually, I take
So-
that back. Yes, in Vegas when he was on his last term.
It kind of puts things into perspective on how much security costs for something just like that. So like, I'll just give you an example. When Obama was running for office, I think his first term, he had to fly into a different airport here in Columbus and then travel a little bit further because Air Force One was too large for the landing strip at the Columbus airport, or something was wrong with the dimensions of whatever. But they would land, and before they would land, they would shut everything down. I'm talking the entire route that the president would drive or be driven. So we're talking miles upon miles would be shut down before he even got in his limo. The hospitals would be shut down. I mean, you know, there's Secret Service agents at like certain locations. I'm not gonna put all the information out there, but certain locations, days before, like, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And then the motorcade itself is probably 40 vehicles.
I would say more than that. And the crazy thing is about that is because I remember, so when I saw it, I was actually at the airport flying back to California from Vegas, and they shut the airport down when Air Force One flew into McCarran Airport. And literally, so like no planes could take off, no planes could land when Air Force One was coming in. And so when I was driving to the airport, didn't even realize it, but I had made it just before they had shut the freeways down, because the way McCarran Airport is set up is part of the tarmac actually goes over the freeway. So they shut down the freeway underneath it. So there was all the freeway traffic was shut down. No planes going in the air, no planes landing. Everything was diverted to different places or had to circle around until it landed. And and Air Force One, that was my first time seeing Air Force One. Air Force One is huge, like it's
a hotel.
It's massive.
It's a flying hotel.
Yeah, it's massive. And so, but it kind of goes back to my point though, is in order to get all that stuff accomplished, who do you think does that? Law enforcement.
Yes.
And so it just baffles me how the same people that want to defund or shut stuff down utilize law enforcement on their day-to-day duties. But I will say this, I think there will be changes coming. I think it was going to be more on state levels than it will be on federal levels. And the reason I say that is because like, for example, when Obama was ending his last term, they had just came out with that 21st century policing and all the pillars. And I had read much of that. And much of it was actually not bad stuff. It was actually, decent stuff, good changes for the profession that were coming. There were some things that were kind of, iffy, but for the most part, it was all good. I would imagine that the Biden administration would be a carryover of what that 21st century policing thing was, because they put a lot of time and energy into that. But I will say things will be affected on state levels, like we're seeing happen in Chicago, where they just passed the bill to in qualified immunity and a lot of other things within that same bill. So I think it's going to be different on a state to state basis, which is also kind of crazy. Like, I think this whole COVID-19 pandemic has revealed really how the country really operates, how separate states really are. Like, cause
I never
realized that.
I didn't know governors did anything until
honestly, bro. Honestly, before, like Billy said, bro, I didn't really know what the governor did until we saw the pandemic happen.
Bruh. And I'll speak for myself. I thought the president had juice. Like, I thought if the president said something, like it was like done, set in stone. But yeah, you're right. These states are like, nah, we good. We're gonna do our
nah, we're straight. We not. That's good advice. We don't like that.
Nah, mask.
That's a good thing, though.
It is.
That's a good thing. You want states who know their own communities to be able to control that. But then again, you need to trust who's in charge of your state. But yeah, you don't want a president that can just like do whatever he wants and tell everyone to do
Yeah.
Which really shows the significance of martial law now, thinking about it. Because before, when somebody threw out the term martial law, it's like, not like, they already tell us what to do. But seeing after this pandemic how states really do control what they want, if the government or the president were to pass martial law, like, then that's when he basically pulls the ranks and he's like, okay, now I'm making decisions for everybody.
Yeah, so it's weird. The whole thing is weird because they do have power if they want it, but they have to like really pull some strings and make it happen. But I was watching. This kind of goes into what you were saying earlier. I watched 2 documentaries over this past week. The first one is The Night Stalker on Netflix, and it's about a serial killer out in Cali, actually.
San Francisco or LA.
Yep.
No, he's LA.
So did you watch this documentary?
No, me and my wife watched the previews because I was asking. I was like, "Hey, you good to watch this?" Because women they see something like that.
I watched it by myself.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. And then the second one is also on Netflix, and it's called Crack, and it's about the crack epidemic. And something I found interesting, because I'm watching them, and you already know where my mind is at watching these documentaries, but I'm watching them, and something that happened during both of these documentaries, completely separate, unrelated. One's about a serial killer out in Cali, which how y'all get in Cali, and then the other one is about the crack
Columbus.
epidemic that also was in LA. Like that was like kind of the epicenter of the crack epidemic. But something that happened during both of these documentaries is they blamed the police. And I thought that was so interesting.
So they blame the police even in the Night Stalker one?
So towards, I want to say like, because I think there's 4 episodes. I want to say like episode 2, they had people basically saying like, well, why can't the police find them? The police need to do their job. And I was like, this is crazy. And then in the crack epidemic documentary, I think it's just called Crack, they had people who were like blaming the police, like, well, the police need to get out here and arrest people. And then they showed like the corruption inside the police department. So like, I don't know if you ever watched 7-5 about like the super corrupt police officers from NYPD, and they were like selling dope and like taking dope from like one drug dealer and taking it to the other, making millions of dollars. They all got arrested. And one is actually free. And like, what's that?
Send me the link to that, or the title of that, because I want to watch that.
7-5. It's crazy.
Is that on Netflix?
He was like, I know at one point it was, but you could probably watch it on YouTube. It's a crazy, because they actually interview the officers, and they were like, yeah, we would go inside a house and just reach in a bucket and take handfuls of dope and then go out and sell them. And they were driving like brand new whips. That's how they got caught. They ended up driving like brand new Corvettes to the substation. They were like,
That's so stupid. You gotta
I know we don't make that much money.
Yeah, you gotta be smarter when you sell crack.
yeah. It was, they're taking like lavish trips, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Wow.
But so this documentary, they blamed the police. Then they showed that aspect of it, right? Like, okay, yeah, these cops ain't out here arresting nobody. They're actually selling dope as well, or giving it to like drug dealers and being paid off. And then fast forward, by the end of the documentary, they show police officers actually going out and arresting people. And then they still blaming the police, like, well, the officers out here arresting people. And it's like, man, like, I get it, right? I get what happened during the crack thing was crazy. But at some point, we have to like support law enforcement, right?
I think the only time in our lifetime that I've like legitimately seen like an overwhelming support for law enforcement,
I already know what you're gonna say.
9/11.
Yep.
It's the only time I can ever really recall a time where there was just like an overwhelming sense of support for law enforcement.
The Boston bombing
and Boston,
marathon.
yep, and Boston Marathon bombing, yep,
yeah.
But it's
So
sad.
it's almost,
but it's sad that Trump, like it's sad that a event like that has to get people to realize, like, how important or how difficult the job is. For example, in like nurses, I know I've seen some memes going around about nurses about how they've been fighting this pandemic. And shout out to all the nurses out there, because like they have been on the front lines, exposed to it and things like that. But nobody realized what nurses are exposed to prior to this pandemic. Same thing with law enforcement. Did you realize how much you appreciate law enforcement because of 9/11 or the Boston Marathon or whatever it may be? But when events not to that magnitude don't occur, you almost just start taking the profession for granted. You know what I mean?
100%.
And so
100%.
Now, how do we get beyond that though? Go ahead.
I will say this, because once so I watched the serial killer documentary first, and then I watched the crack one. So after they started blaming the police, I was like, man, this is interesting. Like, let me try to watch it from like this lens of like law enforcement, kind of see, where things go. So I will say this. We haven't done ourselves a lot of favors throughout the profession. Like throughout the history of our profession, there is a lot of damage that needs to be repaired. But overall, I don't think it's comparable. I don't, like even with the crack thing, I was like, man, this is messed up. Like,
what do you mean? What do you mean by comparable though?
Like, I don't think the amount of bad is anywhere near comparable to the amount of good that law enforcement officers do day in and day out. And don't get me wrong. Like, I know that there are officers out there who have wrongfully killed people. I know that degree cannot be compared to any good that an officer could do. Officers have saved people's lives, of course. But when you take someone's loved one like that tragedy spreads far and wide. We've seen it last year. But I think overall, like the amount of good things that officers do is a mountain to a molehill compared to the
you're absolutely
negativity.
Right. I mean, think if you just look at the numbers, and I don't have the numbers on me right now.
There's roughly 1 million police officers that serve in the United States alone.
Yeah, so roughly 1 million just in the United States alone, and then you add in the calls for service that we get every single day. Think about I don't even, like I said, there is numbers out there. I don't have those numbers on hand, but if you actually think about the calls for service that officers are going to, as we are doing this podcast right now, astronomical. And so
millions and millions and millions. Major cities.
Yeah.
I would say any major city. So we're talking we'll just say the top 20 major cities in the United States has anywhere between 400,000 to 1 million calls for service a year.
Yeah.
On average.
Easy. And so if I would venture to say more than that, but let's say those are the numbers. And then, you throw in critical incidents. So like, man with the gun call, somebody shooting, whatever it may be. Or let's call it some of the medical emergencies where officers are out there giving CPR, doing mouth to mouth, Heimlich maneuvers, whatever it may be.
Yep.
And so you throw all those things out there, all these positive outcomes, whatever it may be. And then you look at the negative things that we've done in law enforcement. Not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like that in anything you look at.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, not only the officers who go out here and do their job, right? Like the officers who go out here and, go to the calls for service and, do their job flawlessly. I'm talking about the officers who go above and beyond, like the officers who are out here paying people's rent, taking their kids to school, checking up on kids, helping families out with like their mental health, their physical health, talking to a guy on a bridge just getting ready to jump off, for 30 minutes and then connecting with him afterwards. And now they're like brothers and he takes him to, there are so many officers who do amazing things well beyond their job that amount does not even compare to the amount of officers who are doing bad.
So let me ask you guys this then. Do officers have an obligation to be held to a higher standard?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Billy?
Yeah, people put in leadership positions should be held to a higher standard.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question is because, and some of you guys are probably like, well, that's a dumb question. The reason I asked that question is because how high should that standard be?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly it.
Because how do you distinguish, real quick, how do you distinguish that high standard from being like a human being still?
That's it. They're mistaking a high standard for perfection. And I've never like quite placed my finger on it, but I think you really hit the nail on the head there. People think of law enforcement officers as we should be perfect.
Yes.
But who's perfect?
Jesus Christ. And so the thing is like, you talk about, and you hit the nail right on the head too, is like people mistake the high standard for perfection, and those are two different things. So we have to first identify what is the high standard. A high standard to me is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. The high standard for me is, making sure that even though somebody may cuss you out, I don't respond and cuss them out all the time. I say all the time because there may be a time here or there where your human reaction is going to kick in and you may respond. So not always giving the same, what's the word for it? Responding the same way that somebody's giving you, you know what I mean?
Energy.
That same energy.
Matching your energy. Yeah.
Exactly. So the higher standard may be going above and beyond that. And so I think there's a lot of ways to define what the higher standard is. Having restraint when most people wouldn't have restraint, that's the higher standard. Whereas perfection would be, I'm able to read your mind and make a decision based off of reading your mind. Perfection would be, I'm not going to cuss. Perfection would mean that I'm, despite everything that I've seen in my life, every traumatic incident that I've been involved in as a law enforcement officer, I'm never going to make the wrong decision. Perfection would mean that I'm never going to cuss out of my mouth while I'm working. Perfection would mean that I'm never going to maybe be a little bit more heavy-handed on some certain situations. You know what I mean? So perfection is impossible, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So let's get deep. Let's break this down a little bit further. Mm-hmm. Right. So we talk about the high standard that's placed on law enforcement officers, and we'll just stick here, like here in the United States. Last year, probably one of the hardest years to be in this profession, and I would arguably probably in the history of law enforcement. I would say it was probably the hardest year to be a law enforcement professional. Throughout the history of the profession, what are the long-term effects of that? And I'll just, we'll be transparent here, right? Like Ryan, we just had a conversation like, man, we're exhausted. Like, man, like we just need a break. Like, can we take a time out? Can we take a nap? Like, can we re-energize? And I would go out and, please don't take this the wrong way, but I would say you and I are among the higher percentage when it comes to like resiliency and being able to bounce back and being able to carry like the weight of hatred and naysayers and that high bar. So if it's affecting us like that, then imagine how it's affecting a lot of other people who may not have that firm foundation on which we stand on, which is our spiritual life, our relationship with Jesus Christ, and the priorities in which we place in our life, our family, our friends, and physical activities and whatnot. So I say that to say this is there are a lot of officers out there who are exhausted, who are just mentally drained, who are physically beaten up. I mean, look at me, I'm injured, and they're not sure what to do. First and foremost, you have to understand that this is normal. And I think a lot of times when we experience something and we get down in the dumps or we start thinking negative thoughts, we compound that with the idea of this is not normal. Mm-hmm. And then it just spirals and spirals and spirals. And that's how you end up in a very low, dark place. So first and foremost, it's normal. That should make you feel better. I just told you I'm going through it. I just put Ryan on blast. I don't know if you want his information out there like that, but my man Ryan was like, man, I'm exhausted, right? Like my man Ryan going through it. I'm sure Billy goes through it just being around us 24/7, right? Like he's probably like, man, y'all draining. Like, can we get some positive news? It's normal. It's normal. So what's step 2 of this? Step 2 of this is acknowledging, okay, this is hard. This is hard. We're coming off of the heels of a very hard year. We still feel like we're being attacked. There's more negative news. There's more negativity that's surrounding the profession. I can't go out in public with anything law enforcement related. I fear for my family safety, blah, 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 blah. So once you acknowledge it, then what do? You have to have these outlets in your life. You have to have like positive outlets in your life to help you push through this because you're here for a reason. And that's what you really have to ask yourself is like, why are you in this profession? I'm sorry to get so deep, but man, I've been thinking about this. Like I've truly been thinking about this, like talking to officers literally all over the world, UK, Canada, you name it, right? Like, and they all have this sense of like, man, I am so drained and beaten and battered. Like, I'm not sure how much longer I can go, like physically, mentally. So I'm here to tell you, if you chose this profession for the right reasons, then you have no other choice but to continue the fight. Now you might need a little help. You might need a little assistance. You might need a little bit of encouragement. That's okay. We all do. But just know, on the other side of adversity is normally what? A breakthrough. Mm-hmm. I mean, right when you want to quit, if you push a little bit further, something major is normally right around that corner.
Yep.
You talk to any like extremely successful person, right? Whether they're financially successful, whether they're successful in a sense of their spiritual life, their relationships with their family, their mental health, their physical health, they've always been pushed and pushed and pushed. And right before they quit, they had to make a decision and go, okay, I'm either going to quit and let this negativity consume me and take me off of the course in which God placed me, or I'm going to push a little bit further because I know I got a little bit more gas in my tank. And when they chose that route, the heavens opened up and they were like, okay, wow, here's the sunshine. It finally stopped raining.
Yep. Absolutely.
So if there's anybody listening to this that's going through that time right now, it's probably a lot of you. And I'm not even going to say you, a lot of us. There are a lot of us that feel that way right now. City council doesn't support me. The mayor doesn't support me. The chief doesn't support me. The president, whatever it is that you feel, or whatever it is that's the reality of the world that we live in. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're here for a reason. Stay the course. You have to stay the course, because the moment you quit, what happens? You failed.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the only time that you truly fail in life. You look at any great I'm sorry for taking this over, but I'm kind of getting worked up here. But you look at any great throughout history. Michael Jordan, I look up to Michael Jordan so much. Michael Jordan missed 9,000, 6,000 shots right throughout his career. But one thing he didn't do? He didn't quit. He was like, I might miss these 9,000, but I'm going to make 20,000. I'm not going to stop. Now, if he would have stopped, where would he be at today? He wouldn't be this billionaire athlete who has all of these achievements. You have to push through these hard times. You have to push through this adversity. And I know it's hard. It's tough. It seems like the world is against you right now. You were chosen to be in this position right now because you're tough enough, you're strong enough, and you're wise enough to push through it. You just have to remind yourself of that.
Absolutely. And so that kind of reminded me when you were saying that. I made a tweet the other day because I was just
thinking on Twitter. Okay.
Oh yeah, I hop on.
I don't like Twitter, man. Twitter is ruthless. All right, I don't do Twitter.
I only do Twitter so that way I can post on Instagram. Like the official. So, anyways,
okay.
And because my publicist over here, Billy, stays on me, and my wife at home, she was on me like, you need to do something, make some Twitter posts or whatever. So, anyways, I tweet. I tweeted a little bit. And so I was thinking about this the other day because, it's been a struggle, bro. I've recently lost probably like 2 or 3 people to COVID recently that I knew personally. And really close to my family, my mom and my dad and stuff like that. So it's been pretty difficult. So that coupled with everything going on in the political realm and just everything. And so I posted something. I said, our minds are powerful tools. In a time with so much negativity, stress, and sorrow, take a few minutes to go to the memory bank. When you get there, make a withdrawal of positive memories / vibes. It's guaranteed to change your mood, even if it's only momentarily. And I was thinking about that because sometimes what I'll do when I go to bed is I'll just think back to like positive memories, whether it be from childhood, whether it be from when me and my wife started dating and got married, whatever it may be. Like, I'll just think about positive moments in my life. And even just for a moment, it has a tendency to change my mood and my vibe that I have. And so I just, I tell you guys that to say this is that if you're in law enforcement or aspiring to be in law enforcement, think about why you got into this profession. Think about that feeling you had when you first started putting in or doing your interview. I mean, think about the interview day when you were sitting down across the table and they asked you that question, why do you want to be a police officer? And your answer is probably something to the effect of, because I want to go out there and make an impact in my community. I want to go out there and help people, and I want to be the change that I want to see in this world. Since that interview, since the time you've done that interview, what has changed? Yeah, you might have a lot of external things that have changed, a lot of laws that have changed, a lot of policies and regulations that have changed, but what inside of you has changed? And so sometimes we'll have a tendency to start seeing things through the glasses half full, or half empty. I mean, we'll start seeing things through a negative lens. And so we have the ability to change the way we view those things and see those things. And, I was listening to my man this morning. What's his name? I'm over here drawing a blank right now because I got so many other things. Oh, John Maxwell. I was listening to John Maxwell's podcast, and he was like, how can you inspire others if you're not inspired? And I was thinking about that. I was like, man, that's true. Like, you can't go out there and try to inspire other people if you're not inspired. And so we got to be able to go back and find out what is it that gives us our inspiration. And then when we figure out what gives us that inspiration, allow that to be the fuel you need to go inspire others. And so it's a unique time. And, going back to the whole, way we got to this conversation of that call to live up to a higher standard is, embrace the higher standard, and it's okay. But remember, because we're under that microscope, we do have an obligation to be better than those that, don't expect much, that can treat you however you want to be treated. We have an expectation to be better than them. And that's what we signed up to do when we took the oath. But if you're not a police officer listening to this post, if you are a civilian and you're very critical on the decisions that officers make in the field, I want you to remember this, is that we're also not perfect, and neither are you. Nobody's perfect. Yes, we have a standard and an obligation to be moral, ethical, and all that other stuff, but we're still going to be human beings, and we are not perfect. So don't be confused with having, a higher standard and mixing that up with perfection, because the two can't coincide with one another.
Yeah. And know that there is power in positivity, but also know that there's power in negativity, and drive in the direction in which is wise, right? So if you know that there's power in positivity and you know that there's power in negativity, you need to steer clear of all the negativity that you possibly can. Don't get me wrong, there's some that you just can't escape, right? Especially the world that we live in today, social media or smartphones and all of this, there's some negativity you just can't escape. But the negativity in your life that you can get rid of, you need to cut that fat out of your life, because know that carries weight and that there's power in that. But in the same breath, know that there's power in positivity, and surround yourself with as much as you can. I mean, there's scientific proof that if you talk positive to a plant, that it will grow healthier and stronger. So imagine what positivity will do in your life.
Billy smiled like he was like,
well, I'm just wondering during the testing what they were saying to the plant negative.
I don't know. Look it up.
Stupid plant.
Look, seriously though, like that's some real stuff.
I can't believe your green, nasty leaves.
And I'm sure that study was done in California, but it's a study. I mean, there's studies, multiple studies about it.
So on that note, I want to bring up something, and I want to address something.
You stupid plant.
I know. I want to address something with that. I want you to ask, if you're listening to this podcast, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you one of those people that spreads negativity or positivity? And really ask yourself that question, because you may not even realize it, but you may be one of those people that is constantly negative. And let me tell you, that takes so much energy out of yourself and the people around you. And I think that's part of one of the reasons why I've been so tired, is because of all the negativity. And so you may be so blinded sometimes, not even realizing that I'm one of those people that's always negative. because you're so negative, you don't even realize that you're one of those people that's so negative. And so I need you to ask yourself that question. And what I mean by that is, like, when you see something negative on TV, are you one of those people that immediately gets on the social media and then reposts the negative stuff saying, oh man, I can't believe this negative stuff, or I can't believe this or that? I get it. It's frustrating. A lot of the stuff we see is frustrating. But by you reposting stuff, by you voicing, and don't get me wrong, because me and AJ, we always talk about things that we're frustrated on this podcast. But usually when we leave this podcast, we don't leave here, and start and just keep that negative energy going. And so that negative energy really does take energy away from you and other people. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and one of the things I told him, I said, look, with influence, it could be a double-edged sword. And the reason I say that is because with influence, if you utilize that energy for the right reasons, for positive reasons, you will steer a whole bunch of people in your direction, and you will lead people to, accomplish things that they would have never accomplished without you. But if you have influence, but you use it for the negative reasons, imagine how many people you are leading to destruction through your negative energy that you feed. And so it could be at work. There could be things going on at work right now that you don't agree with. But just because you don't agree with it, don't mean you always got to be walking around voicing how negative it is and why you don't like it. You can be seeing what's going on in the political realm right now. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean you always got to voice it out on social media. I get it. I understand. Like, you're frustrated. But when you repost things and when you say this or that, all you're doing is feeding that negative vehicle, and and you're giving more energy to it. And so I plead with you, really ask yourself the question, am I somebody that's more positive, or am I somebody that's negative? And if you're negative, how can you get to a place where you're being more positive and being very selective on who you say what with? And what I mean by that is because you got to be careful with what your words and who you're talking to and who your audience is. Mm-hmm. Because whether you realize it or not, there are followers that exist. A lot of people are followers. Nothing wrong with that. If we didn't have followers, we wouldn't really be unique in our own aspects, just because, we need people to lead us to where we're going to go in order to accomplish certain things. So we need followers. But with those followers, you could be sharing that negative energy or that negative information with a lot of these followers. And what do you think the followers are going to do? They're going to take all that stuff and they're going to go regurgitate that to somebody else. And it's just going to continue. And so that's why I say, just really check yourself on what it is and who you are in your personal lives when it comes to negativity and positivity, because that really has been affecting me lately. And when I say by affecting me, like, there's been some people in my circle lately that just always negative. And I love them to death, but it's like, man, when can we get to the positive stuff?
Yes, bro. I'm in a group chat with some of my coworkers, and I had to tell them, like, hey, remove me from this group chat. Like, everything y'all talk about is so draining, like so negative. And what happens is let me tell you how negativity works. All right. When something negative happens in your life, it changes the way that you think, if you allow it to. Okay. So say you wake up in the morning and you go to brush your teeth, you got a toothpaste. Something negative happened in your life. You're like, oh man, this sucks. Already thinking negative, right? So then you go out to start your car and your car won't start. You're like, oh, now I'm gonna miss a day at work. I can't believe I missed a day at work. This is horrible. And it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs to the point where by the end of the day, you're like, F this, like, I'm going to sleep. Like, I can't do nothing right. The world is against me. The president ain't my president. Like, all this, like, everything is just so negative. And then the people who you talk to every day walk away with negativity in their life because you're spewing that negativity, not knowing that maybe the reason your car didn't start is because you was getting a bad accident on your way to work, and really you just had a blessing come your way. Mm-hmm. And that's what we don't realize is, like, something that may seem negative in your life may be the biggest blessing that you don't know happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't know. And like, man, you hit that nail so hard on the head, bro. Like, be aware of this negativity. And if you're that negative person, there are people who text me as soon as their name pops up on my phone. I'm like, I'm not even mentally ready to read this. I know it's going to be some drama. Like, I'm not even ready to read this. Like, I'll read it before I go to sleep, maybe, or maybe I'll read it when I wake up. But like,
and if I'm being real, bro, like, and we got to keep it 100 right now.
Yeah,
there are a lot of cops that are just negative people, and
Yes.
I get it because, you know, we go to a lot of calls, we see a lot of bad stuff and things like that. We don't have a place to vent. But when you get to that place where you're just so dark, like, you got to really recheck yourself and ask yourself, should you really be doing this job? Because that's going to get you in a position where you make bad decisions based off of your attitude. And so there are a lot of new people that want to come into this profession right now. A lot. There's a lot of people that are itching, they're scratching, they're begging to get in, they're missing opportunities, they're not getting the opportunities, and they would give a limb to be in your spot that's occupying a position as a police officer.
Yep.
I know people right now that would trade for everything to be where you're at because you have what they want. But when you walk around just negative all the time, what is it doing for that person's mentality? What is it doing for, you know, that energy that they had that could have actually came into the profession and changed it for the better? You're basically like taking all the energy out of their soul, that positive energy, and now they have nothing left. I did you see that movie with
Dumb and Dumber?
No, yeah, right. that it's a new movie on Disney. Soul. Have you seen that?
Yep.
So one of the things I liked about that movie was you really kind of see like what happens when you just take a person, like take that, like whatever they had in their heart, when you take it away from them. And they really have no identity at that point in time. Well, that's what it's like when you have negativity. When you just are constantly negative and constantly just saying negative stuff, you basically are pulling and stripping somebody's identity away from them and replacing it with negative stuff. So you almost forget who that person was beyond the negativity. Because think about how many people in your life you know that you're like, man, I remember they used to be super positive, or they used to be a really big go-getter, or they used to be like this. Well, what happened over time? What happened over time is they got really negative, where somebody starts stripping that positivity away from them and replacing it with negativity. And now they just became like this Debbie Downer all the time. So that's what you do to people when you're constantly negative.
I seen a good demonstration. I thought about stealing it too. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I was like, man, this is powerful. Like, it's a powerful visualization on exactly what we're talking about. And this guy had an empty Kool-Aid pitcher. It was like this big Kool-Aid pitcher with a handle on it. And then he had two Kool-Aid pitchers that were half full each of like ping pong balls. One had blue ping pong balls and the other ones had red ping pong balls. And he had them labeled. And the red ones were negativity and the blue ones were positivity. And he's going on and on about like exactly what we're talking about. He's like, you know, sometimes in life, something negative will happen to you. You know, someone will pass away. You'll get into a car accident. And he's like slowly pouring these red ping pong balls into this big Kool-Aid pitcher that represents you, right?
Yeah.
As a human being. And it's slowly filling up. And he's just like talking about like all this negativity that most of us really deal with at some point in our lives, right? Like, we all deal with, you know, car accidents, death, struggles, negativity, haters, whatnot. It's filling up. And he goes, what happens is we hold on to all of this negativity and we just let it build and build and build and build. By the time that the blessings come around, and he grabs the blue ping pong balls and he goes to pour them in,
there's no room,
but it's full and it's overflowing, and all these blue ping pong balls are bouncing everywhere. He's like, we're so full with negativity that we don't even have room in us for these blessings or this positivity.
Wow, I'm definitely stealing that. I'll give him the credit.
That's
though.
where I was like, ooh, I like that.
I'll give him the credit, but I'm using that.
But it's, you know, it's true. We have to be cautious of like what we're filling ourselves up with. Either we fill ourselves up with like this negativity and we allow negative people to continue to pour into us, and then we expect to pour out positivity, which is not going to happen, or we're cautious, right? Now, I'm not saying we're going to be perfect at this, or we're cautious and go, you know what? There's a lot of negativity going on right now. I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to let anything pour into me right now because I'm not sure. It may be negativity disguised as positivity. So I'm going to just take a step back right now.
Yep.
Ooh, I know this is definitely positivity. Yep. Give me some of that. Give me some of that.
Yep.
And then slowly but surely you'll fill up and you'll go, oh, you know what? I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better.
Yep.
I feel a little bit more equipped to go out here and do my job, despite how hard it is, despite the negativity, despite the amount of people who want to see me fail. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to do it flawlessly. And I'm going to sleep well at the end of the night knowing that I did my job to the best of my abilities.
And that right there, my friends, is how you go above the standard without trying to be perfect, because we're not going to be perfect, but that's how you go above the standard, because right now the standard is everybody wants to be negative. It's easy to be negative, but going above the standard is being positive when it's hard to be positive.
And I'm going to just guilt trip my believers real quick, because I got to say this, man, with everything going on in the political world. And listen, Jesus was being crucified, all right, getting hit with rocks, stabbed with a spear, literally being killed. And you know what he said? He said, Father, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, he was physically being killed, stabbed, spit on.
Was still thinking about us.
We got to have that mentality. You know, we going through a time right now where people are typing harsh things, right? And we get so wrapped up with that, like, what, man, you see what this person said, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, man, we got to take a step back and remind ourselves, if you're a believer listening to this, think about that.
And bro, that verse is so applicable to the law enforcement profession, because think about how many things that, you know, suspects or criminals do to other people and they don't really know what they're doing. You know what I mean? But we as the officers, we can see from the outside. And so it's that mentality. It's like, man, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing right now. So that's what you call going above and beyond. That's what you call the higher standard. So, man, I think that was a good topic and a little bit more of a refresher for people after what's been going on these last couple of weeks. Before we get to One Has to Go, who you guys got for the Super Bowl?
Man, you know, Mahomes is on a different level, bro. Like that, he's special. He's something special, but I got to go with the GOAT.
You got to, bro. You could be on a different level, but you're not on the same level as the GOAT.
That's it, bro. That's it. Like he's a mini GOAT. He's getting to be there, right? Like, but you got some time, youngster. Like, you new to the game. You going against, you know.
Somebody said if Mahomes would retire right now, he would still probably make the Hall of Fame. I was like, that's crazy, because he probably would.
Bro, he's a dog. He's a dog. But hey, you got Tom Brady, bro. Too?
Oh, I know. Tom Brady's officially the GOAT, bro. He is. You know what's funny is, like, I haven't always been like a super Tom Brady fan, just because I was never a fan of the Patriots.
Yep.
But I've separated Tom Brady from the Patriots. It's been easier to do that with Tampa Bay. Yeah. But the dude, I mean, his story is inspiring. He's always had a good attitude, and the dude is just humble, and he's just phenomenal player, man. So I'm cheering for him, man. I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, especially because my homie beat my Niners last year. So I'm definitely rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know Billy doesn't watch football. I want to see
Mahomes do good.
Did you watch any of the games, Billy?
I don't even know who's going to the Super Bowl, to be honest. So whatever little respect you had for me is gone.
We might have more.
Billy watched the game. He's like, so what just happened right now?
I know what's going on, but I don't follow really. Yeah.
Depending on how you answer this next One Has to Go, you might not have no respect, Billy. So I need you to really think of.
Billy,
we'll let you answer
we're
last.
Gonna have to stop doing this here pretty soon, because Billy always feels like we're tag teaming against him every time we do it. So.
He does. My wife says something. I need to leave Billy alone. I'm like, what?
Billy
bring this on himself.
No, Billy's developing like a little fan club, bro. He has people like coming to his defense all over the place, bro. I'm like not appreciating that.
Billy had a fan
page
club
on Instagram, so you can follow me.
When Billy won the ugly sweater contest, I was like, "Oh, Billy got
something's rigged.
Billy got some juice.
Something's rigged.
Billy got, we call that Billy."
Hey, so this. Hey, so for that person,
say it.
Say it. So for that person that criticized me for being on my phone during the podcast, I'm gonna post this on our page today.
Oh, got him. Look at Billy looking like John Mayer.
Got him.
I'm taking notes. When you guys talk, I take notes.
Yeah, I know. They don't know
Billy's like,
that,
I'm
though.
being a producer. That's what I'm doing.
They don't know that.
He
So,
just done with his new iPhone.
oh man. So, anyways, man, hit us with the one that has to go. I know AJ has it this week.
All right, one has to go, including all of their work. All right,
Oh, okay.
comedian edition.
Oh, okay.
Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart.
Oh, dang, that's difficult.
That's tough. That's tough.
That is difficult, bro.
And you
Somebody-
know what? You know what? Let me change it. We'll get rid of Kevin Hart because he's kind of newer to the game.
No.
And we'll. Okay. All right. Okay.
You can add one.
I like four because you start adding, it gets a little easier to get rid of one.
Because I like Kevin Hart because you add that new flavor in there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Richard Pryor. I was gonna replace him with Richard
people,
Pryor.
but we probably got listeners that don't even know who Richard Pryor is.
Okay, so we'll keep
Unfortunately.
Kevin Hart. Okay, we'll keep Kevin Hart. Okay. All right, Ryan, you up? You in the hot seat, brother?
Adam Sandler. I gotta go with Adam Sandler. Cause don't get me wrong. Now I love Adam Sandler. He has some hilarious movies. He's done some phenomenal work between Waterboy and everything else
Happy
he's done.
Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Billy Madison.
He said,
and
Big Daddy.
Yeah. Billy Madison, Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore. I mean, Longest Yard. I mean, he's done some phenomenal work. But Adam Sandler got to go for me.
I'm with you. I'm with you there, man. Adam Sandler got to go. And don't get me wrong, bro. Like Adam Sandler is a dog. Jim Carrey, bro, in Living Color and Dumb and Dumber alone put him on a different playing field.
And he can like be emotional too. He's a good actor and he's hilarious.
Yeah,
Like,
he can
Jim
be
Carrey's
crazy.
great.
Cable guy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he got his Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
is a
Kevin
dog.
Hart. Kevin Hart's in a league of his own, and then even Chappelle, bro.
Chappelle is
oh,
next
man.
level. Chappelle is next level. Yeah. Chappelle will say something like a joke, and then you'll think about it afterwards and be like, "Hold up, that was deep. Man, it has some meaning
I
behind it."
know. What about you,
so
Billy?
yeah.
No, I'm actually agreeing with you guys this
Whoa.
time. Man.
Yes,
did it.
go,
We did it.
Billy.
We
Let's
did
go.
We did
Well,
it.
because Adam Sandler, like, he is hilarious. Like, I loved Happy Gilmore growing up and stuff, but like, he's
Oh,
hit
yeah.
or miss. Like, it's either like really funny or it's like, I wasted my life watching this movie.
Yeah, like some of his newer stuff on Netflix, I'm like,
Yeah, it's him and his friends just having money and having a good time, basically, with the camera.
Yeah.
But so, I tell you what, though, something I do respect with Adam Sandler is he put his team on.
Yes.
Yes, I love
That's
that
something-
too.
Yes. Because everybody,
So,
they're all in the same movies.
Yup. He was like, man, if I'm eating, all of y'all eating. Like, y'all gonna be in the movies with me. And he held true. Even his new stuff, he like, yeah, you see them all.
Yeah, and that's a tough choice because they're all funny. They're all really good.
Yeah.
the
They
choices
are.
you gave.
They
Yeah,
are,
that was, hey, we all agreed for once.
Yep.
Man, thank goodness.
Oh,
Thank
man.
goodness.
Hey, that we got something in common, y'all.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I thought
That's
Billy
it.
was going to get rid of Kevin Hart.
Nah, I think Kevin
I
Hart's
was
hilarious.
unsure.
I know. Just,
And I think Dave
The-
Chappelle's most recent special on Netflix like made me love him even more. Where he
Yeah.
like, came out talking
Chappelle
about
is-
everything. Yeah.
Chappelle
Man.
Show. Chappelle Show.
Yeah,
I was
Chappelle
never-
show alone.
That's funny. Yeah.
Did you ever see the Chappelle Show?
My friend had on DVD. I watched it. Yeah. It's funny, but I wouldn't like watch it again. I don't think.
It's
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
raunchy, but it's hilarious though.
Okay, Billy.
Hey, now-
we were good, Billy. We were all agreeing, Billy.
Like, let's just cut right there. Let's cut
Don't
right
mess it
there.
up, Billy. Don't
No,
mess it up.
I'll cut that part out.
Bro, the Chappelle Show, no, hands down though. Like,
Chappelle.
that's what put him on the map for me because
Oh,
like his
yeah.
stand-up
I don't
was
know.
good.
Half baked was funny.
Half Baked was
I
funny.
like, yeah.
Half Baked was funny, but the shit, like his skits, bro, and like
Oh,
he
yeah.
he was very like he was a genius. He was
He was.
artistical genius when it came to, like, for example, how do you have a black guy
I was
dressed
just gonna
up
say that.
in a KKK outfit
That's blind.
that's blind and hates black people?
That is pretty funny.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that. Yup.
and make it funny. He's the only one I know that could say the N word, bro, and like
Mm-hmm.
make it, put a spin on it.
Yes.
Where white people
With
would
the
say
family?
the N word. Yeah, where white people would say
my
the
goodness,
N word.
bro. That's top 3.
And make it
Top
like
3.
it's artistically genius. So like
Yeah.
Chappelle Show,
The Rick
hands down.
James. What? Classic.
Bro.
Classic.
Mud butt.
He said,
he had a
"Do
case
I
of
look
the
like
mud
the type
butt.
to just grind my feet in somebody's couch for no reason?" Yeah, I'm grinding my feet in his couch. He could buy another one.
Remember the Oprah one with what's the dude's name? Yin Yang Twins or Lil Jon?
Oh yes, yes, bro. That's
So,
what I'm saying.
man, so yeah.
The race Olympics. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chappelle show.
The black people have officially selected Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Bye
Hey,
bye
Art,
fried rice. Hello fried chicken.
Now that everyone's turned off the podcast,
I know. Right? So
all right. Hey, real quick, Ryan. Give him some positivity to end on.
hey guys, positivity for you guys, man, is continue to stay positive. I mean, I'm gonna keep it as simple as that. You know, I don't want to get all crazy. Super, philanthropic or anything like that, or philosopher. I can't even talk today, bro.
we know what you mean.
But anyways, stay positive. Seriously, just stay positive, man. It's all in the mind. It's all mental game. You have the ability to control how you think. You do, and so. And even if you are in a negative mood or just feeling down about everything, that doesn't mean that has to come out of your mouth. And so just make sure whatever comes out of your mouth, and I guess that's my thought is take captive your thoughts and be intentional with what comes out of your mouth. Take captive your thoughts and be intentional of what comes out of your mouth. You do those two things, you'll be solid.
That's good. That's good. My little snippet, I keep mine short and simple. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Your friends will influence you whether you know it or not. So if your friends are negative and have no bit of like positivity in them whatsoever, then it's going to affect you as well. And make sure you know what is being poured into you, because what is poured into you will be poured out into others. So
Hey, yo, we love you guys. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you guys next week.
peace.